you witches, how you doing today? We're back with another video, and I want you witches to stop asking permission. I'm so tired of seeing this on social media. Somebody posts, oh, I have this ingredient. Could I also use it for this? Or what should I use for XYZ spell? Or is it okay if I do blah, blah, blah? Listen, the whole point of witchcraft is self-empowerment. And seeking validation from outside sources kind of undermines your personal empowerment. So we're going to talk a little bit about that today, about why people do this and why it's actually probably not going to work the way you think it is, and a little bit of safety, and yeah, just why we need to experiment and try new things in our practice. So for those of you who are new around here, my name is Taya. Welcome to the channel. We talk about all things witchcraft, and yeah, for those of you who are returning viewers, maybe coming in from another video, welcome back. I appreciate the support, and all of you, please consider subscribing. It's a great way to help us build the channel. So, why are people seeking outside validation in their practices? I've kind of boiled it down to sort of four main reasons. The first one being that they aren't confident in their own knowledge and abilities. And I get it. We've all been new at one point, right? And you're just not really very confident. You don't really know much. But here's the thing. How do we gain confidence? Confidence isn't gained by somebody else telling us what to do. Confidence is gained by us doing a thing and getting positive results. All right, and the other part is building knowledge. Well, you can memorize charts and books and blah, 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 but that's not always how it works in the real world, right? It's called unverified personal gnosis, and you're gonna find things when you start practicing where something works for you that shouldn't, or that doesn't work for somebody else that you know, but it works for you. And the only way to build that knowledge is to try things and see how they turn out. Now, another reason people seek this outside validation is they don't want to break the rules, right? Well, listen, there are no rules. There's lots of guidelines and recommendations, but there's no hard and fast rules. There's nothing where it's like, if you do it, oh, you're getting kicked out of witchcraft. That doesn't exist. That's not a thing, right? And at the end of the day, I guess the rule is, if it works, it works. If you try something and it works for you, if you do a prosperity spell with rose quartz and that works for you, guess what? You just found a new correspondence for rose quartz. It might not work for a single another practitioner on earth, but it works for you. Therefore, it's valid. Okay? And the only way to find out if that works for you is to try it. If you're constantly asking people online and they go, no, 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 that's wrong, that doesn't work, you're never going to discover that new thing. Another reason people do this is they want to guarantee their success, right? They're like, I just want to know it's going to work. Well, here's the thing. It doesn't work that way. Just because it works for 95% of the practitioners, it doesn't mean it's going to work for you. There's no way to guarantee your success. It's a false sense of security. The only way to be successful is to try something, and if it doesn't work, tweak it and try it again, and tweak it and try it again until it does work. And finally, and I think it's a big one, people want to be safe. They worry, like, what if I screw up? So I'm going to be blunt. People worry that they're going to like accidentally summon a demon who's going to come and turn their life into a dumpster fire, or they're going to anger a deity who's going to want to seek revenge on them. It doesn't work like that, you guys. If you skip an ingredient or substitute an ingredient, maybe you write your own incantation, or you walk clockwise instead of counterclockwise, the worst that's going to happen is nothing. You're going to deplete the power of your spell, you're going to negate your spell, right? But it's not going to accidentally summon a demon or anger a deity. It just doesn't work like that. Witchcraft is more about nuance. It's not quite so cause and effect. The worst that can happen is nothing. Now, that being said, there are, I'll call them the three things you don't want to play around with. The first one is poisonous herbs or stones, right? Anytime you are going to ingest or burn something, you need to know that it's safe. And that isn't on other people to verify that for you. You need to look that up for yourself. And those are things you don't want to play around with. Gee, I'm trying to think of some poisonous herb, right? Ooh, is it really that bad? Let's take it and try. You don't want to do that. That's not good. So in that case, you really need to, you know, verify for yourself that things are safe. Even if you're going to touch something, like for me, I have severe allergies. So when I'm working with dried herbs, I have to be really careful about which dried herbs I work with, because there are a few that I can't use, or I end up with my face all swollen up. Another thing you don't want to play around with and experiment with is other people's lives, right? If you're doing spell work for other people, that's not where you want to experiment. Experiment on things that are happening and affecting your life to you, right? Until you get it figured out, and then try it on somebody else. But don't do the experimenting on other people. And finally, you don't want to experiment with closed practices, right? Any term, practice, or belief that comes from a closed practice is off limits, because basically it can be incredibly damaging to the people from that culture. And at the end of the day, it's just unethical. Don't do it. So those are the 3 things I'm like, you know, maybe you don't want to experiment and play around with. But basically, for like 99% of it, witchcraft is about experimenting. It's about finding out what works for you and how you best practice. And nobody else can tell you, can guarantee anything for you. I mean, the only way to figure it out is to do it. There are general guidelines and best practices, but growth in your practice, if you really want to grow as a witch, you need to stretch yourself outside the bounds of your own comfort zone. It's about doing the best you can, making your best effort with what you have available to you. Think about like our ancestors of old practicing the dark arts, right? I mean, they did what they could with what they had. And that's basically all I'm asking of you, is do the best you can with what you have. If they didn't have an herb on hand, they would substitute something else and see how it went. And if it worked, great. If it didn't work, they try it again with something else. And listen, there are tons of resources out there for learning in our modern age, and I'm not trying to discourage you from that, right? Use all of our modern supports. That's great. It's just sometimes you have to remember that the only way to learn a new thing or to grow in your practice is to try something out and see what happens. Experimenting is important. So I encourage you, take a leap, try out the thing. Who knows? Maybe you'll learn something new. How exciting would that be? So that's our video for today. If you've ever experimented with something, you know, had it go great, had it go wrong, leave us a comment. Let us know how it turned out. Otherwise, yeah, we'll catch you in the next one. Thanks so much for hanging out, you guys. Mwah.